Donald Trump is panicking as Putin's trip to China is clearly scaring him. Donald Trump left China with nothing but some rose seeds. That was Xi Jinping's gift to Donald Trump. In contrast, Vladimir Putin got a much bigger welcome than Donald Trump. And then as a parting gift, Xi Jinping displayed the unbreakable friendship of great nations, strategic partnership of great powers exhibit at the premises of the Great Hall of the People in Beijing. And this exhibit featured gigantic photos of Xi Jinping next to Vladimir Putin. And the theme of this exhibit was Unbreakable Alliance. And clearly you have Xi Jinping and Putin sending a message to Donald Trump about how weak and pathetic he is. Putin and Xi Jinping also signed numerous documents announcing a multipolar world order. Again, another jab at Donald Trump. And then Xi Jinping gave Putin a much bigger welcome than even Donald Trump got right after Trump showed up. So just think about this. Right before Donald Trump shows up in China, who's there? Iran's foreign minister, Araghchi. Then Trump shows up and says, oh, you're so strong and you're so powerful. Xi Jinping gives Donald Trump some rose seeds to leave, knowing that the Rose Garden was destroyed by Donald Trump and Melania. Then Putin shows up immediately, and then Xi Jinping builds out this entire exhibit called Unbreakable Alliance. So Donald Trump was asked about it. What do you make of Xi Jinping's meeting with Putin that just took place? And Donald Trump was on the tarmac earlier today. Here's what he had to say. Let's play this clip.
What do you make of President Xi meeting with Putin this week?
Well, he told me he was going to. I think it's good. I get along with both of them, but I think it's good. I don't know if the ceremony was quite as brilliant as mine. I watched. I think we topped them. Good team. But no, I get along with Putin. I get along with everybody but your husband and a few others.
On the Iran deal, would you be open?
And then Donald Trump said, but look, folks, I'm 99% approval in Israel. So after being president in the United States, I think I'm going to run for prime minister of Israel. Here, play this clip.
I'm right now at 99% in Israel. I could run for prime minister. So maybe after I do this, I'll go to Israel, run for prime minister. I had a poll this morning. I'm 99%. So that's good. But
now, Donald Trump is scared about a lot of things this morning. And so we saw a major market manipulation take place today. It takes place every day under this regime, but this one was fairly flagrant and blatant. Let me show you what went down. So we learned earlier this morning, as Joe Weisenthal and others reported, the U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve just saw its largest one-week drawdown in history, both on an absolute basis and on a percentage basis. This is not good. U.S. crude oil inventories fell by 17.7 million barrels last week. Again, that's the largest drawdown in history. And this drop was announced 15 minutes after an anonymous Pakistani report talked about an imminent United States and Iran peace agreement. And again, this appears to be coordinated market manipulation. This kind of Pakistani-linked source to a media outlet called Al-Hadath said the following, and then it got picked up on the various news wires, and this brought down the price of oil at the time that we learned of this historic and devastating drawdown of petroleum reserves. This is what we learned. This is what the Wire headline read. Possible Washington-Tehran deal nears finalization. Work is underway to finalize the text of a Washington-Tehran agreement, according to Al-Hadath sources, with negotiations reportedly advancing in earnest. Sources say a final deal could be announced within hours if Pakistan's army chief does not travel to Iran, suggesting key diplomatic steps are nearing completion. And what did that do? You see U.S. oil prices fall about 7% to 10% to about $97 per barrel. As you know, you have that announcement, and Donald Trump's like, we're moving closer. But let's look at what's actually happening, right? You take a look at what's happening in Iran. Their parliament leader, their lead negotiator, MB Ghalibaf, just said the following this morning. Enemy movements, both overt and covert, and covert, indicate that they are seeking a new round of war. The people should be assured that our military forces have used the ceasefire opportunity in the best possible way to rebuild and strengthen their capabilities. We will make the enemy regret any renewed aggression against Iran. Also, Golubov says, he quotes here J.D. Vance's Hillbilly Elegy, Chapter 11. Quote, "We felt trapped in two unwinnable wars, and a disproportionate share of fighters came from our neighborhood." And then Golubov says, Hillbilly 2 incoming. America's poor and forgotten will foot the bill for the broligarchs, Diamond, the Demon, and the Beltway war merchants. Donald Trump on the tarmac again, moments ago. He goes, I'm in no hurry when it comes to this war. I'm in no hurry. Oh, the midterms, I'm in no hurry. Here, play this clip right here.
On the Iran deal, would you be open to a limited deal that just covered the Strait of Hormuz?
What does that mean?
On Iran, just a limited deal just for a longer ceasefire.
We'd have to open the strait. That would open immediately. So we're going to give this one shot. I'm in no hurry. You never think, oh, the midterms, I'm in a hurry. I'm in no hurry. Ideally, I'd like to see few people killed as opposed to a lot. We can do it either way, but I'd like to see few people killed. I just wonder whether or not they have the good of the people, because some of the things they're doing to me means they don't have the good of the people, and they have to have the good of the people.
Now, one of the things that we also learned took place late last night is that Donald Trump and Netanyahu held a phone call. Israel's News 12 described it as lengthy and dramatic. Donald Trump then told the press that he would allow 2 to 3 days for negotiations to play out earlier this week. And then today on the tarmac, Donald Trump was asked about that conversation with Netanyahu. And Donald Trump's like, he's fine. He'll do whatever I want. The U.S. and Israel are obviously coordinating this hour by hour about what's taking place. Here, play this clip.
What have you said to Prime Minister Netanyahu about Iran and how long to hold off on strikes?
He's fine. He'll do whatever I want him to do. He's very, very good man. He'll do whatever I want him to do, and he's a great guy. To me, he's a great guy. Don't forget, he was a wartime prime minister.
Then a reporter asked Donald Trump, are you worried about any of, I know big priority for you right now is the ballroom funding, and we see a lot of MAGA Republican supporting it, but we also see some Republicans who are a little bit worried in the Senate about giving all this ballroom money. What do you make of it? And Donald Trump's like, look, this is for our military. The ballroom is for our military. It's a strong military position for our people that we do this ballroom. A strong military position? Come on. What are we even talking about here, folks? There's so many people here in the United States who are struggling and suffering, and you have all of this taking place. Let's play this clip.
Are you worried about ballroom?
Some of them don't know how to win. I know how to win. I think I've proven that, haven't I?
Are you worried about the ballroom funding, Mr. President? There's speculation that could be...
The ballrooms are being built. I'm building the ballroom. You saw it yesterday, right?
Yeah.
We're building a great ballroom. It's been needed. It's a very military complex. The roof is actually a drone port. The roof of the ballroom is a drone port, and it gives great safety to everything below. It's good. We're building a really great ballroom, but it's also a strong military position for our people.
Here's something most people aren't told about their credit score. It's not just whether you pay your credit cards, it's when you pay them. Yeah, most people don't realize that. I know I didn't. But Smart Credit's data experts understand how credit bureaus operate, so they created something called the best pay down date, built around how credit reporting actually works. So instead of guessing, you get a personalized strategy that shows you what to do and when to do it to help you maximize your score. And that matters because better credit can mean lower payments and more money in your pocket. And this is where it gets interesting. You can see your full credit picture in one place, your score, what's affecting it, and if something needs attention, you can take care of it right there. So before you apply for anything, a car, apartment, refinance, it makes sense to start with Smart Credit. Go to smartcredit.com/Meidas and try it for just $1. You may be surprised to see how many points Smart Credit estimates you can gain. That's smartcredit.com/Meidas. Results vary. Cancel anytime.
Now, as Donald Trump is out there talking about ballrooms and as they're manipulating the market. And as Donald Trump says that he would become the next prime minister of Israel, real disturbing images were posted and videos were posted by Israeli security minister Ben Gvir. He visited one of these detention centers or camps where the global Samud flotilla activists, the international flotilla activists, are being held. And it was a really horrible video, and he's taunting the individuals who were detained, and he's screaming at them. And you see that they're in these horrible conditions, and he's posting it, kind of gloating about the situation. And it's really horrible stuff. But that's Trump and Netanyahu for you right there. Netanyahu says, that doesn't represent. Come on. That's the Trump Netanyahu regime for you. Donald Trump then sends HUD Secretary Scott Turner out there to try to do his bidding. Here's what he said moments ago. Let's play it.
What do you want to say about this spike in mortgage rates today? What can you do and what should be done in terms of getting these rates lower?
Well, good morning, Maria. It's always great to be with you. The president is laser focused on keeping our country safe, to not have an evil regime, to have a nuclear weapon. The president is focused on that to make sure that Americans and American people are.
You see, the American people, by the way, 7% mortgage. Most Americans can't get any mortgage at all right now. Americans can't afford their rent. They're renters and they can't afford their rent, yet alone afford a home. And we're seeing foreclosure delinquencies skyrocket right now. But you do see these kind of what do you call them? The broligarchs, the oligarchs, these right-wing oligarchs. They're getting richer and richer and richer. And you have Jeff Bezos, for example, giving an interview at CNBC, and this is the ridiculous thing that he had to say. Here, play this clip.
We've had lots of we have wars and tariffs and all sorts of things that have happened since then. What do you think?
I think he has. I'm comparing him to his first term.
Yep.
And I think he is a more mature, more disciplined version of himself than he was in his first.
Then we learned more about the Kobayashi letter report and others reported. Financial Times reported it first. Donald Trump Jr.'s investment firm, 1789 Capital, has seen its assets under management surge by 1,650% over the last year to $3.5 billion. They say that they are building an investment empire around, quote, patriotic capitalism. And they describe themselves as the new Carlyle Group. And they just so happen to get in on all of the new big IPOs before they go public. I wonder, and Don Jr. gets to be on all of these boards. Have you ever seen more blatant corruption? I want to point this out as well. Obviously we've done a lot of reporting on Donald Trump's $1.776 billion slush fund for the January 6th insurrectionists after he sued the IRS and Treasury Department for $10 billion in his personal capacity based on a data leak during his first term of tax returns that involved 450,000 Americans. And Trump says, I'm personally injured $10 billion. And now I'm going to settle for $1.776 billion. And I'm going to create this slush fund. That's where people are focusing on, but that's the smoke screen. Okay. What happened yesterday was that second document where the United States government waived and released all claims and forever barred the IRS from investigating Donald Trump for tax fraud or tax evasion and not paying his taxes. And so what Donald Trump built into the settlement agreement, based on all of the grifting that he's doing and all of the quid pro quos, assume he's making billions and billions of dollars, right, from all of these deals with foreign countries. Him and the Trump organization, they're parties to this action. So think about all the deals that they did. This settlement agreement waives all tax liability and any tax evasion or tax fraud or any misconduct, any claims against Trump or Trump's family regarding taxes. So if they don't pay, this is my legal analysis, you could disagree with it. So to me, if they don't pay their taxes going back, there's no remedy against them right now based on this agreement if this agreement stands. So that could be billions and billions and billions of dollars. That's what I was calling out when he said, oh, I'm going to donate the money to charity. I'm saying, when he was going to donate it and then he's going to write it off, and then he was going to roll over his write-offs year over year to never pay taxes. And so they try to come up with a scheme to basically have him never pay taxes again. That's my opinion of what's really going on there. And then the 1776 stuff, the $1.776 billion slush fund, that's horrible and impeachable and as corrupt as can be. But I think that's distracting from what he and his family personally gained. I want to point that out to you. And then finally, former Cuban President Raul Castro was indicted by the DOJ as the United States moves closer to invading Cuba. This is part of the dramatic escalation in Trump's pressure campaign against Cuba. And, obviously there's a blockade there, although Russia's able to get around the blockade, but other countries, of course, aren't. And then the Trump regime says, now Cuba has drones, and now the drones are going to pose a threat to us. So now we have to invade Cuba. And this is kind of their precursor to invasion. This is the move that they did with Maduro. They indict the leader or the former leader, and then they use that, and then they call the invasion an extraction mission and not a war to try to avoid authorization. All right, so there you have it this morning. We'll keep you posted every step of the way. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.